Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Wednesday. It's the 15th day of February 2023. I hope you're safe and healthy today, that your family is safe and healthy, and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders, who every day are trying and actually doing life-saving. Blessings upon those that pick up garbage for us to keep streets, sidewalks, parks, buildings clean and disease-free, as well as those that make deliveries in all kinds of weather and all kinds of conditions for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the teenagers and the children that are the victims, unfortunately, of child molestation and pedophilia. The victims also of prostitution and child prostitution. The victims also of pornography and child pornography and human trafficking and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators, double curses on the profiteers, and double curses on those perverts that create this industry. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. There are nearly 600,000 men, women, and children. The numbers are growing in the United States of America, and they're mostly children living in the streets with no roof over their head. And there are millions of people around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. There's a basketball game scheduled tonight. The New York Knicks are in Atlanta to take on the Hawks in Atlanta. Now, the Knicks have played Atlanta 3 times, 1-1. The only win the Knicks had against Atlanta was when the Tibbs went to the 9-man rotation. It was at that time when he went to the 9-man rotation, that actually was the second game of the 8-game winning streak that started against Cleveland the game before, and they beat Atlanta 113-89. The issue with Atlanta that the Knicks have had was defense. See, initially Atlanta beat us because DeJounte Murray went nuts, and our defense stunk. And we couldn't. What the problem was, he was getting in. He gets into the lane, and he's long and athletic. He gets into the lane, and nobody could stop him from that 8-foot little jump shot that he does mid range, and he kills with that. And then against us again in New York, I believe Trae Young went out with an injury, and even though it was either Young or Murray, one of them went out with an injury, and the Knicks defense just was ferocious. That's when Tibbs went to the 9-man rotation. Then Mitchell Robinson got hurt, and next time we played them, again, it was a defensive issue. We lost 139-124 in Atlanta. Okay, so at this stage where we're at right now, we still don't have Mitchell Robinson, but the defense has come alive. It really has, especially with the acquisition of Josh Hart. He brought another level of defense from the perimeter for us and offense, as well as veterans. He's a veteran leadership. And so he has really been a difference maker on Mobb Deep. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I did a video where we were talking about trading R.J. Barrett for Mikal Bridges. And there was a number of people that went nuts on me for that video. Let me explain again, because this is going to become an issue in the summer. And I want you guys, maybe sometimes I'm too ahead of stuff. That's probably the problem. I'm too ahead of it. Like, people are just acting like people acting like I just started talking about something like Deuce McBride when I've been talking about him for 2 years, right? Or Quentin Grimes when I was talking about him in Houston. But people come up late and don't understand. I've been on these things, and sometimes I come out too early with it, and this might be one of those times. Okay, let's talk about R.J. Barrett for a second. R.J. Barrett came into the NBA. He was 19 years old. Okay, come out after his freshman year, true freshman at Duke, comes out 3rd overall pick. Every rookie in the first round, especially in the first round in the lottery, every rookie gets 4 years. Okay, they have a 4-year guaranteed contract, and teams actually have options. They can pick up the options or not pick up the options, but generally it's 4 years. You get 4 years to prove yourself in the NBA, or at least to show that you have enough upside and growth potential that a team's going to invest more in you. Generally speaking, a guy as young as RJ has a lot of rope because of how young he is. Now, again, he comes in at 19 years old. And he starts right away. He's playing the David Fizdale at the time, and he starts right away. And he's playing heavy minutes almost from his rookie year. And so every year we have seen small progression, small, but steady. And generally he comes on the second half of the year better than the first half of the year. RJ's biggest games are generally in the second half of the year. And it's interesting, it's the second half of the game too. So he'll start off in the game slow sometimes. Second half of the game he comes on. End of a game he comes on. Second half of the year comes on. End of the year he starts to come on. So generally speaking, he's a slow starter in general. He's not quick. He's just not. He never has been. He was never quick. He was mostly stronger than people he's playing against, okay, for his size and the age group and all that. He's generally been bigger and stronger than most of the people. And he uses strength rather than quickness. Doesn't have a lot of speed or quickness. Left hand dominant, but I don't have a problem with that myself, as some do, because a lot of people are right hand dominant. He goes to his right enough for me. But there's been lapses defensively over the last 4 years. And on the defensive end, last year, at the beginning of last year, the beginning of the 21-22 season, RJ had made it known that he was going to be focused on improving defensively. This was his third season. And so he was going out and he was attempting to guard the other team's best wing. And he was getting cooked a lot. I just felt like at the time it was part of the learning process because as you mostly know, I don't look at things in terms of 1 or 2 games or 1 or 2 months. And a guy like RJ, I look at it in terms of years. How many years is he going to take for him to get to his potential? And that is the problem here. RJ Barrett is going to be good. I believe it. I see it. But it's not going to be now. It's going to be when he's 24, 25, 26. That's 2, 3, 4 years from now. Now, the problem with that is that the Knicks timeline now, it started with him at age 19 and is progressing. And now this is year 3 under Tom Thibodeau. The Knicks timeline in terms of opening a championship window is probably next year or the year after. RJ's progression is 2 or 3 or 4 years from now. And there's players available or that can be available that will help the Knicks now. So this is the competition of the NBA. This is the competition of it. So you might have a guy that won't reach his potential till he's 25. Okay? But you need somebody to step in now and you can get to the next level. As I mentioned, a Mikal Bridges or a Jeremy Grant. Those two above all to me, in my opinion, because they're not superstars, but they're the rare situation where you can get a guy that's not a superstar and yet be that piece to vault your team into the conference finals conversation. And that's those two guys, in my opinion, one of those two. So the problem is RJ is progressing. He's just not progressing fast enough so that the Knicks timeline might pass him. That's the problem. See? And at this stage, this summer, not now, but I told you, not at the trade deadline, but at this summer, he's 22. He's going to be 23. So a team that's looking to rebuild, maybe in year 1 or 2 of their rebuild, might want him then because now he's on their timeline. Because he's 23, by the time he's 26, he's going to be really good. And so he works with their timeline. So you got that. You gave him, I want to call it a max deal, but you gave him a nice $100 million deal. But in this age where we're at right now in 2023, $100 million deals are very common. It's not, Jalen Brunson got a $100 million deal. Julius Randle got a $100 million deal. Neither of those guys are superstars, but they're really good. But I'm saying $100 million is not what it was 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago. Now the big money's 200, 250. That's the big money right now. But, so your LeBrons and your ADs, your top echelon dudes going to get $40 million a year. Dame Dollar, he's going to get $50 million. But, so now RJ's in that, $20 million, $25 million, $28 million range. So they got his $100 million, but what I'm saying is you could trade that. For example, McCall Bridges got 90 million. Okay, you could trade that. Okay, now McCall Bridges is 26. He'll be going on 27. Him and Brunson are about the same age. In fact, him, Brunson, and Hart are all about the same age. And the timeline with the Knicks fits. Because you add McCall Bridges to the team we now have, the exact team, they're threats to the Eastern Conference Finals. Because the defense goes up several notches. Because now you have a lockdown defender, all NBA defender, literally, at the 3 spot, who can hit shots at a 40% clip from 3. Then you have Mitchell Robinson. Then you have Julius Randle, all NBA All-Star. Then you have Jalen Brunson, who should have been the All-Star. Then you have Quentin Grimes. Then you have your bench of Josh Hart, Obi Toppin, if he's still here, Emmanuel Quickly, if he's still here, right? But you got, and then Hartenstein or Sims, either one. But you have now a threat, a deep team that's a threat. That's where we're at. So the problem, again, let me just clarify so some of y'all don't get it twisted. And some of y'all going to get it twisted anyway. I can't help you. But it's the fact that RJ's timeline is slower than the Knicks' timeline. That's the problem. Okay? His timeline is slower than the Knicks, and the competition is catching him. That's the problem. Okay? He's going to go to another team if he does. And again, if it's a rebuilding team, if the Nets decide to rebuild or retool, as it were, and so then their window starts over, right? So they're talking about a 2 or 3 year window, or another team that's on the rise. And a lot of young teams out there that are on the rise that would like, okay, he fits our timeline. Orlando, okay, they're on the rise. He fits their timeline. Okay, teams like that. Or Toronto. So you get a guy that's now in the timeline versus if we had Jeremy Grant at the 3 right now, then this could beat anybody, period. They could beat anybody in the 7-game series if they had Jeremy Grant starting at the 3. If you give them the same team, you switch out RJ Barrett for Jeremy Grant. That's all I'm saying. You get the same team, same exact team. You switch out RJ Barrett for Jeremy Grant. They can go to the finals. They could beat anybody. Anybody in the league they could beat. Okay? Because of that defense and because now they have enough offense to make it work. So that's what I'm saying. So the reason we're talking about RJ today is because what I'm saying overall is right now he's in a tryout and he's not doing well. So the All-Star break is important for him right now. If he's hurt, I don't know what happened last game. He went to the locker room, came back to the bench, so it couldn't have been anything serious. He's not listed on an injury report. So he went to the bathroom or whatever he had to do, came back to the bench, and we got just tonight's game against Atlanta, and then you have a All-Star break. He needs this break. He needs this break, and he needs to pull his usual second half of the season heroics. He needs to come out strong. But even if he does, they may trade him this summer because what's going to end up happening is when he's 26, he's going to be, I believe, all-star level. And he's going to be really good the whole season. He's 22 now. So this is 4 years from now. 3 to 4 years we're talking. But by that time, if we had Jeremy Grant now, we might have won a chip already. Okay, and it's a hard decision because you have a kid. First of all, not many players like to play in New York. Truth be told. I mean, if you've been a Knicks fan for a while, you've been understanding a lot of players just pass by New York for a number of reasons. Media and fan base being 2 of them. So a lot of players just say, forget it, I'm not dealing with that. And they don't want to come to New York. Okay? RJ wanted to come to New York. He was very, if you remember the night he was drafted, he was slamming his fist on the desk saying, I'm a Knick. Maybe it was youthful inexperience. He was 18 at that time. But that's what he did. And you got to have a loyalty and a love for somebody that wants to be in here. He wants to be at MSG. He wants to take on the challenge. And for his 4 years, he really has. He's taken on the media. He's taken on, taking the smoke. He's done all. But right now, it's crunch time. And the competition has caught him. So you have some guys available. I mean, and they may want New York. I am 100% sure Mikal Bridges wants to play for the Knicks. I'm 100% sure of that. The problem is, I don't know if the Knicks will deal him to the Knicks. Not for what most people think Knicks don't want to do business with the Knicks. It's not that. He's under contract. And if they decide they want to retool, he's a perfect piece to do it. I mean, start your retooling process. I mean, unless his people reach out to Joe Tsai and say, listen, I really want to be at Madison Square Garden. And Joe Tsai says, okay, we'll talk to the Knicks, which could or could not happen. Could or could not. He's going to be in the Nets uniform because he is locked down for the next 4 years. Okay? So I don't know. It'd be a perfect piece. It's obvious to me he wants to be here. He's really, so I'm sure that him and Brunson and Hart, that trio, there's some combination talking to each other every day. Like either Brunson or Hart are talking to him every day. They're connecting just because they boys, just because they homies, right? So, and it comes up. So this summer is going to be very interesting. And then, of course, you have the unrestricted free agent that is Jeremy Grant. It is obvious that Jeremy Grant is going to test the waters. Otherwise, he'd have signed an extension with Portland already. He didn't. So he's going to test the free agent waters, which means 29 teams could bid for him, including the Knicks. Okay? Portland doesn't want him to walk away for nothing, so the Knicks have something to offer in terms of a sign and trade. Okay? So these are two situations to keep an eye on. And what I'm saying is, I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks made a deal in the summer for R.J. Barrett. This past year, you're talking about Donovan Mitchell, who is really a two guard in a point guard's body, right? And to give up, this ripoff artist wanted us to give up a whole plethora of picks plus RJ, and he was talking about Obi also. You're cleaning the cupboard. You don't want to do that. That's Carmelo Anthony part 2. You don't want to do that. But for Jeremy Grant, it could be RJ and Jeremy Grant straight up. For Mikal Bridges, it could be RJ and Mikal Bridges straight up, and you're gonna throw an Obi Toppin in there. You're gonna maybe throw some draft capital in there. But it's not gonna be a ripoff. We're not gonna clean our cupboards. We're not gonna have to. Okay, this is the position that Don put us in. We got enough draft capital, enough young talent. We can make this happen without cleaning us out, with us having pretty much the same team with the addition of the new guy. So this is something to look at, but that's what I'm saying. Let me just make sure I stress this again. It's not that R.J. Barrett stinks. It's not that I'm giving up on him. It's not that the Knicks would be giving up him. It's just his timeline now has slowed. He's a slow progress dude. He's a second half dude. He's a start slow dude. That's how he is. So his timeline now is behind where Knicks would want to be right now. Okay, for example, Emmanuel Quickly's ready to go right now. Like, he could play in the playoffs. He's ready to go. He could start for some team right now. I believe Obi could start for some teams right now. Grimes is obviously starting, so he's ready. See what I'm saying? Then you step up. You got Brunson in his prime. You got Hart in his prime. And by the way, some of you talking about starting Hart. No. See, just because somebody's good doesn't mean if you play them more, it's going to be better. Sometimes you can maximize a guy with what you're doing with him. Hart is being maximized, in my opinion, in how he's playing right now. Coming off the bench and closing game. You're getting max Hart right there. Okay, don't start him. He's 6'5". You need a little length, a little bit of height in your starting lineup. Especially now, what you're gonna do? 2 6'5" guys on the wing, plus Brunson at 6'1". So no, but. And Grimes is just, some of y'all, again, looking too short term. Grimes is a better shooter. He's going to be a way better shooter than Josh Hart. Okay? And he plays defense just as well. He just doesn't have the NBA experience that Josh Hart has. Josh Hart's been in the league 5-6 years already. So let Grimes get there and watch what happens. So, and Grimes is good enough now to help us in the playoffs today. So, but RJ, where he's getting 35, 40 minutes a game, making really bad decisions offensively sometimes. And then, worst of all, just took a step backwards defensively. He took a step backwards defensively. Okay. And again, I believe he's going to overcome it. 3 years, he'll be a good. But we're in a position to compete, now. This is year 3 of the rebuild. Going into year 4, you will see a much better New York Knicks team. Everybody's going to be better. So if you get a guy in at the 3 spot that can lock down D right now and hit open threes right now, what you have in either Jeremy Grant or McCall Bridges, if you get that guy, you just moved your team up into the top 4 in the East. Okay, and that's where we're at right now. So it's a tough decision that the management would have to make. I don't know what they're going to do. If they were even discussing R.J. Barrett last summer for Donovan Mitchell, it's because they thought Mitchell might be that guy to vault us up, and at the end they decided against it, which I'm glad they did because the price tag was way too high, and it wasn't going to be like that. I don't think so. No, but Cleveland fits better anyway. Their front line is way better defensively than the Knicks at the time, right? So especially if we're talking about R.J. But a guy that may not cost as much, that's going to have as great an impact and get us to that next level, that's something you got to think about. And so that's why RJ, really, this is an important all-star break for him. He's got to get right. He's got to be ready when he comes back. I see him being better like he normally is in second half. He really starts getting better second half of the season. But in the summer, when there's evaluation, and that's what you do, you make your evaluations, your management's evaluating everything, your coaches are evaluating everything, and you're seeing what's out there, what's available. Leon Rose has already said he's always on the lookout for what can improve the team. You got to take a hard look at that, especially if a Jeremy Grant is on the market as an unrestricted free agent. You got to take a hard look at that. You got to take a hard look at McCall Bridges and see what his availability is with the Nets and Joe Tsai and Sean Marks. You got to see what his availability is, what it's going to cost to get him. Okay? And so that's where we're at. That's where we're at with RJ. Okay? That's where we're at. That's just the real, for my opinion. And so we're going to see what happens. But right now, tonight, against Atlanta, the Knicks are rolling. And even without RJ playing well, both, you've already seen Tibbs have been going more with Emmanuel quickly than RJ Barrett. And now that you have Hart, he's been using both of them and not RJ more. Okay, so I expect that to continue. Josh Hart is going to make a real difference defensively because now before you had to have Grimes guard one or the other. He's either going to guard Dejounte Murray or Young, but you can't be in both places. But if you can get Josh Hart on them, now you have Hart and Grimes. That's a different story. Okay, well, you have Hart and Quickly, whose defense has really picked up also. That's a different story. So I expect a good game from the Knicks. I expect it to be a little bit better. I expect it to be way better defensively than it was in the 2 times we lost to them. And so the Knicks need this for a number of reasons. As we know, we're half game behind Miami for the 6th seed. We're 2 games behind Brooklyn for the 5th seed. It's on right now. We want to go into the break on a 3-game winning streak. Not only that, if we beat Atlanta here, it's 2-2, and if we had to face any tiebreakers and we have a better record or whatever, we have game up, we would get the nod or whatever. It's important, and I think we played them again. Did we play them again? No, this is the last meeting, so we need to win this to get so it'll at least be 2-2 for the season, it'll be even. But anyway, yeah, it's a big game. We need this game. So I'm hoping RJ comes out of his funk, but if not, I think the Knicks can win the game. We'll see what happens. But anyway, y'all enjoy it. Enjoy your Wednesday. Be safe out there. Shalom.